The 10th generation of Pokemon is upon us, as the first trailer for Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves gives us a glimpse into what the future holds for the series. So as usual, I'm here to break down everything you missed in this first trailer for Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves. But before we get into the gameplay, the trailer begins with a live action scene of a desk with a sketchbook on top of it that opens up to take us on a trip through Pokémon history, starting with Gen 1, which was of course originally in black and white before the Game Boy Color released. We then go on to Gen 2, and for just a brief second there, they had me thinking it might just be Pokémon Legends Johto coming. But as soon as Gen 3 came up, I realized exactly what they were doing, as the sketchbook continues to flip through the pages, showcasing some iconic aspects and landmarks from each generation, eventually leading to our first glance at Gen 10. Suddenly, a very real-looking Pikachu pops into frame, and as we pan up, get a look at these flowers. We'd actually seen them earlier on the desk. Doing a little research, I found that these are clearly orchids, but more specifically look like they may just be Phalaenopsis, also known as moth orchids. These come in a variety of colors, including red and white, but most importantly, most commonly being found in Indonesia and the Philippines. I'm sure a lot of you know where this is going, but we'll talk more about that later. For now, our POV steps out of this room onto a boardwalk leading directly into a bright blue ocean, as a mysterious shadow approaches. For a second there, Pikachu started looking a little uncanny, but little did I know this would be the least odd-looking Pikachu we'd encounter in this trailer. Meet Mr. Windychew and Miss Wavychew. We don't actually know much about these two peculiar Pikachu other than their names and the website mentioning that they'll somehow be involved in our new adventure. But considering one of the first things we see later in the trailer is a massive resort-looking building, my guess would be these two likely work at this resort. It could be that we're staying at the resort as visitors to this region, or perhaps we're new employees being trained by these Pikachu, since we're clearly wearing the same hat as them. Maybe we got some free swag for staying at the hotel, or like I said, we might be employees being trained by these Pikachu. I can definitely think of another recent Pokemon entry that had a similar premise. My guess would be these are the logos for the resort, which changes based on which version you pick. So even though they appear together in the trailer, it may be that just one of these Pikachu will appear in each game. But regardless what it is, I really like the look of these new protagonists, and especially the tech they seem to be carrying around, which, again, we'll get to in just a bit. But now, let's finally move on to the gameplay. Immediately, I was blown away by the graphics, and watching some other YouTuber reactions and reading comments from Pokemon fans online, I don't think it's just copium to say we may finally have a good-looking open-world Pokemon game. As a big fan of the visuals in New Pokemon Snap, my biggest hope for Gen 10 was that it would look at least a little closer to the graphics of that game, and honestly, from what we've seen so far, they might have actually done it. Graphics have been one of the biggest criticisms for recent Pokemon games, so to immediately be flooded with so many trees, plants, and other foliage, the movement and reflections on the water, and just the overall lushness and vibrancy of this region was a huge sigh of relief. Of course, we'll have to wait and see exactly how the game will run, because it's very easy to hide dips in frame rate and other visual oddities in a trailer. But with Winds and Waves being Switch 2 exclusive, I think it'll be more on Game Freak to optimize the games rather than the console itself not being able to handle these graphics. And though for many fans, learning that the games won't release until 2027 may be a little disappointing, if it means the final result will be more polished, then I really don't mind waiting. And comparing the beta leaks to the current state of Winds and Waves and knowing they have at least another year to cook does give me hope, as dangerous as having hope as a Pokemon fan may be. Since I already briefly brought up the leaks, let's just talk about the Copperajah in the room. In case you didn't know, around October 2024, a massive data breach of Game Freak servers led to the leaking of tons of internal files and information regarding past, present, and future Pokemon titles, including some documents detailing a potential game called Project Gaia, also known at the time as Pokémon Wind and Wave. I have of course covered many of these leaks in past videos, but I'm still conflicted on whether I should talk about them in my official trailer breakdowns. So for now, I'll just say the confirmation of the names Winds and Waves being the same as the leaks likely means a lot of the information contained within those leaks will be in the final version. So if you want more details, be sure to check those videos out. Because there is one leak I just can't ignore right now, that being the new region we'll be exploring. Going back to the moth orchids we saw at the beginning, I mentioned them being native to Southeast Asia, more specifically Indonesia and the Philippines, which are both located within an area in the real world known as the Coral Triangle. And all signs seem to be pointing at Winds and Waves being based on this exact area. The Coral Triangle is known for containing the most biodiverse marine wildlife on Earth, something we clearly see matches this trailer. It's also famous for its shallow turquoise lagoons, many coral reefs, island chains, and volcanoes. So to my Filipino fans, we made it. But also Indonesians, Malaysians, and all Southeast Asian islanders rejoice because the next Pokemon region is for you. Skimming through the trailer knowing this, you'll start to notice just how much the architecture and just overall vibes of this region match with Southeast Asia's islands. But again, I want to keep the leak discussion separate for now, so look out for a full map breakdown later this week, since the map that was leaked isn't official. Maybe some things have changed, but could be fun to try and match it up with what we see in the trailer. As a tropical islander myself though, I am absolutely ecstatic. Alola was close enough, but this region being open world and looking how it does has me way more excited. I cannot wait to explore this. Speaking of exploring, you may have noticed when we were introduced to the new protagonist, they have a very peculiar device strapped onto their backpacks. Looking at their official artwork, and specifically how the boy character seems to be carrying it, this definitely looks like some kind of hoverboard. As it is right now, it looks a little small, but then again, penny boards exist, so could just be a tiny hoverboard. But looking at how the girl character stands at the edge of the ocean in this shot makes me think we will definitely be able to use it not only on land, but to surf across the sea from island to island. The official Winds and Waves website does confirm this will be another open world game, and it specifically mentions the vast ocean, so that definitely makes it sound like we'll somehow be able to cross this ocean. But we won't just be exploring the surface. As this shot heavily implies, we'll also be able to explore underwater. I guess I can't really visualize a hoverboard underwater, so maybe we just swim? Or there will be some ride Pokemon after all. In this shot, many fans have also pointed out the notably darker and suspiciously serpent-shaped cloud in the sky, with many specifically calling it out as looking like a Gyarados. Regardless of its exact shape, it is Pokemon Winds as much as it is Waves after all, so it does seem very likely we'll somehow be able to fly up there. But what exactly awaits within this cloud, we'll have to wait and find out. A few more notes about exploration I noticed are these little bird feeders they set up near the hotel. Immediately reminded me of the feeders in Gen 3's Safari Zone, in which you could place Pokeblocks to attract certain nature Pokemon. Perhaps we'll see a similar feature in Gen 10? After all, this new region definitely looks a lot like Hoenn. But if I'm being honest, it's probably just decorative and the hotel set it up so more bird Pokemon like Tailo would come, make the surroundings look more lively. But in the back you might have also noticed this big red balloon. They actually appear throughout the trailer in different parts. Most likely, I think these balloons are attached to Pokemon centers, meant to be sort of markers that trainers can easily spot no matter where they are in the region. Paldea wasn't exactly flat, but it was a lot more barren, so it was easy to spot the bright red gas station stops. This new region, however, not only has a lot more cliffs and mountains, but like I mentioned, the trees and foliage covering almost every inch of it might make it harder to find buildings, so these balloons peeking over the landscape make a lot of sense, both from a gameplay perspective and in the world, so trainers don't get lost in the wilderness. And this theory is somewhat supported by the fact that immediately following this scene, we see the new Pokemon Center, which in this region is once again merged with the Pokemart. Taking a closer look though, I noticed another sign for what looks like smoothies. Every recent generation has had some kind of food mechanic, like the curry in Sword and Shield, and of course these sandwiches in Paldea, and smoothies would absolutely fit a Southeast Asia inspired region. And if they're made with berries, you could definitely feed them to your Pokemon to grant them buffs, or maybe just drink them yourself to attract certain types of Pokemon. The open world of Winds and Waves immediately looks like a big improvement over the previous generation, but we'll of course have to wait and find out to see if the gameplay matches those improvements, cause I for one would love to see level scaling for gym leaders and other challenges so it actually feels like you can take them on in any order, and definitely more side quests, which I am a bit more hopeful for since Legends EA had some pretty good ones. A few more enterable buildings would go a long way too, but to be honest, it's pretty hard to tell just from this trailer whether we'll be able to enter any of these buildings or not. And like Scarlet and Violet, we do see quite a few buildings that opt for just an open air approach, so they don't actually have to create an interior. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We've somehow made it this far into the trailer and yet to talk about the most talked about reveal, the starters, or first partner Pokemon of Gen 10. And first up we have Brout, the grass type angry bird. The name appears to be a combination of sprout and brow, you know, like eyebrow. It is officially classified as the Bean Chick Pokemon, which may have some interesting implications as to how it'll evolve, because it definitely sounds like a pun on chickpeas, a type of bean. It's also a pure grass type, not grass and flying like Rowlet, which means Brout could remain a flightless bird when it evolves, perhaps into something like a cassowary, known for the peculiar protrusion on their heads. Brout already has a standout brow, so I could definitely see it. I'll be making a whole nother video going deeper into these starters' potential evolutions, so be sure to subscribe to stay tuned for that. But for now, let's move on to the fire type Pombon, whose name seems to be a mix of Pomeranian and Bonfire. It's categorized simply as the puppy Pokemon, which it actually shares with a whole bunch of other doggos, so not much to go off of as far as guessing its evolution from that. But the internet seems to be most concerned about whether or not this dog will stay on all fours. Funnily enough, the website describes it as having a flame organ on its chest, much like its feline counterpart from Alola, which did of course end up standing. So will it be the same for this good boy? Finally, we have Gekwa, my immediate standout favorite. I'm not even sure why, I think she just slays. But its name is pretty obviously just Gecko and Aqua, meaning water, hence its classification being the Water Gecko Pokemon. Again, not much to go off of there, but being based on a fat-tailed gecko, and the website mentioning that it shoots balls of water from its tail, does bring to mind a lot of fun ideas for its potential evolution. Though that would no doubt bring even more comparisons to Inteleon than it's already getting. Like with Pombom though, the question will be whether this gecko stays on all fours. But I think we all know what's more likely here. And that's just about everything I found hidden in the first Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves trailer. Or is it? Because as always, the game's logos themselves may have some secrets of their own. You see, in the Japanese logos for pretty much every game since regional gimmicks were introduced, you can see a little hint at those gimmicks. Pokemon X and Y straight up had the Mega Evolution symbol in there, while Sun and Moon featured a Z Crystal and later Necrozma's Prism. Sword and Shield did switch it up a little bit, featuring the Galarian Gym symbol rather than Gigantamax directly, but then Scarlet and Violet went back to having a Terra Crystal. What exactly could the new symbol seen on Winds and Waves Japanese logos represent? Like I said, it's most likely related to this region's new gimmick, rumored to have something to do with weather. And seeing as all we really have to go off of is the rainbow glow around it, I mean, rainbows are definitely tied to weather, but to be honest, I don't have a solid guess as to the specifics of this gimmick. So if you guys have any theories, let me know in the comments below. The trailer ends somewhat abruptly, cutting to black until eventually the sounds of winds and waves and thunder cracks into your ears. Could this be hinting at the legendary Pokemon? The last couple of generations have played out very similarly, with the first trailer revealing the region and starters, and the second trailer revealing the cover legendaries. This ominous audio coupled with the names of the games is no doubt hinting at the next trailer revealing this region's legendaries, with one of them likely being related to the sky, while the others related to the sea. Unfortunately, we might not get to see them for quite a while. With Winds and Waves not coming out until 2027, it's possible we may not see another trailer until next year. At least if they follow in Legends DA's footsteps, which was also revealed over a year ahead of its release. But unlike back then, this time around we've got gameplay from the get-go. And with this region looking so expansive, I'm sure they have plenty of reveals they can spread out every couple of months. So whenever the next Pokemon Presents is, I would bet we see the Legendaries. Who knows, maybe Winds and Waves ends up releasing in the summer rather than the usual November holiday release time we see for most Pokemon games. Summer would certainly fit the vibes of this new region, so until then, I'm certainly going to be overanalyzing and theorizing on what we've got so far. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for all my future Gen 10 videos, and leave a like if you enjoyed.